Welcome. My name is Karen A. I'm here in Jerusalem. This is the Afro-Euro Reco12 podcast, where people suffering from all addictions, all afflictions, come to recover and hear a message of experience, strength, and hope. Whatever your addiction, whether alcoholism, codependency, workaholism, anorexia, bulimia, and you could throw in whatever else ails you. I don't know what else is there, gambling, drama addiction, emotions, etc., etc., etc. You've come home and there is a solution. Reco12 is a family of recovery resources. You could check that out on Reco12.com. If you're ever feeling blue or you feel like you need to strengthen your program, go to Reco12.com. We've got a bunch of recorded podcasts that are great. Messages of the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous, messages on Al-Anon, any other fellowship. You could listen to a bunch of people, see who you relate to. You can reach out to me and I'll help you get in touch with them, or you could talk to Justin B., the founder of Reco12, and he'll get you in touch. Beyond that, we're here every Friday on the Afro-Euro Timezone at 10 a.m. my time. I don't know what time that is for you all. Most of us, except for Gloria. 3 out of 4 ain't bad. If you'd like to contribute a seventh tradition, you can do that at Reco12.com/support. And we accept PayPal or Venmo, and that helps cover the costs of these Zoom meetings. Without further ado, it was really my total honor to be reunited with my good friend Nadia J from Hermanus, South Africa, sharing her experience, strength, and hope in these recovery rooms, whether physical, virtual, or ethereal. Nadia J will introduce herself. She'll speak for about 20 minutes. Please jot down your questions in the chat. Nadia will address them after she speaks, but get your questions in the chat if you want to write them on paper and make a note. We'll have a good amount of time for Q&A at the end. Nadia, I'm going to give you 20. If you need 25 minutes, we're not too strict around here. Take that. And thank you. Thank you for joining us, please.
Thanks, Karen. Oh my gosh, it's awesome to see you again and to be here on this platform. We've had so much fun here before, you and I and a couple of other souls. Hi, everyone. Nadia J, a grateful, recovered alcoholic. And I know there's some of you who might be listening to this podcast, and the minute I say grateful, you're rolling your eyes because, like, why would you be grateful? Being sober sucks. And if that's where you're at right now, I beg of you to grab the hand of someone who's armed with the facts, who's had a spiritual awakening, who's walked through the pages of the 12 steps, the 164 pages of the big book, Alcoholics Anonymous. Take their hand, do as they did, and get away from that jumping off point. Get away from that place where we know loneliness like few do. I'm so grateful to be here again today, and I am grateful. I can tell you I wasn't grateful for many months, a couple of years into this program. I was hanging on by the skin of my teeth and barely hanging on, and just feeling lonely and bitter and mad at the world because I couldn't drink anymore. The desire to drink had been removed from me on the 21st of June 2020. And thank God for the rooms that stayed open during COVID and Zoom that enabled meetings to get brought into everybody's lounges and bedrooms and bathrooms and kitchens. And, we just had this huge big book explosion, and the big book consciousness took place, and I heard a language I'd never ever heard before. And my recovery had always been based on these principles: just don't drink, go to meetings, say the right things at the right time, smile at the right people, dress nicely, look nice, get your compliments. Everyone compliments each other on their recovery. Go home, scream at the dog, push the kids away, don't talk to anybody, grumping around the town, chasing after people because they're driving like idiots. My life looked exactly the same as what it did when I was drinking in the rooms, but in the meetings, it looked very different. At the meetings, it looked very different. It looked like I had an amazing program. Anyway, so during COVID, I got to hang out with some of my American fellows. I got to hang out with some of my UK fellows. Gloria had some awesome meetings with people from Australia. And then I got to meet some big bookers in Israel, and the list goes on and on and on. And the reason I say this is my topic for today is relationships in recovery. I couldn't have relationships with anybody, not myself, not my parents, not my siblings, not my nobody. The only relationship I had, the basis that it was on, was if I could get something from you, or if you were going to threaten something that I had or was about to get or hoped I would get. That would determine the strength of our relationship. That would determine the direction of our relationship. Pretty much everything I did and every way that I dealt with everybody was based on fear. And just like the big book says, we are driven by fear, driven by self-pity, driven by resentment and self-seeking behaviors. And that was not just me. My relationships were driven by fear, by selfishness, by self-pity, by resentment. And I was the typical actor boy. I was ever gracious, ever kind, ever generous, ever modest. Oh my gosh, I could play any role. I could put on any costume to play what you, so I could please you, so that I could get what I needed from you. I loved that actor on page 62. I tell you, when I had that read to me the first time, I realized how I have shown up in every single relationship of my life is as an actor. I had an outfit, I had a costume, I had a mask, I had a hat, I had a wig. I had a certain way of talking to fit in with this crowd and this colleague and that family member. And all it was, at the end of the day, my motive was to get what I needed, to get what I wanted from you. And if I couldn't get what I wanted from you anymore, I cast you aside. Just like our defects get cast aside in step 5. I cast them aside. And Karen, that included my kids. You know my story, sis. We've spoken a lot about this. It included small children, because the disease of addiction knows no foe. It is powerful. It is powerful. Not even the instinct of a mother can beat the disease of addiction, but there is one who has all power. There is one who has all power, and that one is God. And my wish for you listening to this podcast or with me in this Zoom room is that you find God now. And all you need to do is just a nice deep breath. We don't ask you to find God in the rooms of AA or NA or CA, whatever 12-step fellowship you're in. What we do is we ask you to come and connect yourself to a power by which you can live. And for me, in this topic that I'm bringing to the table today, I started to live in relationships. I had my first relationship that I had was with my sponsor, or with the first sponsor, the first lady, first brave soul with the most beautiful, compassionate heart, who would take my call at all strange hours. And she would give me like 3-4 minutes to just vomit into the phone. And then she'd give me a one-liner and put the phone down. And, I just hang there like, what? But it always was such a profound one-liner, because why? It came from the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous, a language I'd never heard before, but a language I sure understood. It spoke to a part of me that no therapist, no psychologist, no bipolar meds, no anxiety meds, nothing had ever spoken to that part of my soul like the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous had spoken through the mouth of this woman. And through her, I got to take on service positions. In the fellowship that I'm in, there's quite a bit of service committees, and I would get involved with conventions and speaker seeking. And through that, I learned how to deal with people. Some people just don't answer their phone, and some people like to speak via voice notes. Other people like to speak recovery for hours and hours. But I wanted to bring those guys to the rooms. I wanted their message in the room. So I built these amazing friendships, and people probably never will see. We had all these virtual friendships at that time. And then slowly but surely, I started sponsoring. And now I have a whole new relationship. I have a relationship with someone who is dying, hanging on by the skin of their teeth, just like I did. And it's through my experience that I get to help them. Not through my all-knowing oracle nature, because if you had met me in recovery, well, actually, sometimes in recovery too, I am a bit of a all-knowing bossy boots. But especially in my active days, oh my goodness, I would argue with you on topics that I'd never even opened a book on. never even opened a book on, but I would be the all-knowing wise oracle on that subject. And now I would take someone's hand, broken, beaten, bruised, heartbroken, frightened, lost, and I'd take their hand. And from a place of just wanting to give them what I'd experienced, just absolute desire to give them the freedom that I'd experienced in these rooms, the love that I'd experienced, not really knowing what it meant, because love is still quite a strange component for me. And so slowly but surely, little by little, my little circle started widening, like it speaks of in the vision for you. This widening circle of peace will grow on planet Earth, and it grew in planet Nadia, because I definitely did think the sun and the moon orbited around me. The absolute epicenter of selfishness. Oh my gosh. Thank you, AA, for bringing me to a place of being a servant and a humble heart. On my best days, on my good days, on my other days, I'm not. On my other days, I can live on page 52, trouble with relationships, can't make a living, no control over my emotional nature. But most of the time, I'm pretty much happy, joyous, and free. And so the circle of peace is widened, and it's tapped into my children. And I'm able to embrace them, and I'm able to listen to them while they speak to me, and I'm able to ask questions and remember things about their lives, because now I'm not just interested about myself, I'm interested in others. Like it says, self-seeking will slip away. We will lose interest in ourselves and gain interest in others. And I saw that with my children, because I really couldn't have been bothered with them when I was inactive. I just wanted them out of the way so that I could get to my drink. And then God gifted me with, through the powerful process of amends, he gifted me with a renewal of relationships with my family, my mother, my father, a sister, and then sisters in the fellowship, I really get to see the power of God. I get to see the hand of God in these relationships, because these were relationships that at times I wish that they weren't on planet Earth. We'd have an argument, and I'm a creative confusion. I'm not a bringer of harmony at all. And for me, like, if we have an argument, it's the end of the world. It's the absolute end of the world. And then I just wish that everyone was gone, and that planet Earth had exploded, and that you were all gone. Because when I had an argument, it really felt like the end of the world for me. But now I'm able to navigate through those waters by applying my step 10 process. I watch for fear. I watch for resentment. I watch for those things because they crop up. I've had to do a lot of inventory over and over and over on top offenders. People on my step 4 list who keep appearing, but with less and less offense. And I'm prepared to look at it from an entirely different angle. And through those amends processes and the inventory process, step 4 and step 5, really, I beg you, if you haven't done those and you don't know what I'm talking about, get a big book sponsor. You're in for a time of your life. You're in for a radical experience. And through those processes, I get to have renewed relationships. I don't get to have, I also what I have experienced through this process of the 12 steps is you guys have gifted me with 2 childhoods. The one I told myself I had, because in the doctor's opinion, Dr. Silkworth speaks of the alcoholic mind, where we cannot discern the true from the false, that our alcoholic life is the only normal one. So the childhood I had told myself I had over and over and over to any unwilling victim who would listen to me, that became my childhood. And it was a childhood filled with woe and sorrow and abandon. And it was none of that. It was none of that until but I could only see that through the eyes of somebody else and God, in the presence of somebody else and God. And that was in my step 5, when I really got to see the truth. And voila, I got given 2 childhoods. The one I said I had and the one I actually did have. And I got to get new parents, because the ones I told you guys I had were not the ones that actually were the real deal, that were actually in reality. I got to experience my mom and dad very differently through spiritual eyes and spiritual ears, because our thinking gets placed on a higher plane, and we get ears and eyes that are not flesh and blood and flesh and bone and muscle and tissue. They're from a different realm, the spiritual realm. And then most recently, and I really did, I thought I was going to spend, because the last 4 years I've been literally living in my bedroom, inhaling the big book and doing big book studies and carrying this message and sponsoring and Zooming and just having the time of my life in these rooms. And, but God says to get to know me, you've got to have relationships with others. And he gifted me with a partner. He's not in these rooms, but he's a praying man of God. And through him and spending time with him, I've been able to see how the principles of this program really come to life. Really come to life. This is really a place where I get to practice my principles in all my affairs. And I also learned that any life run on self-will can hardly be a success. And they're not just speaking about, the Joe Soaps and the normies out there. And I say that with respect, using that terminology. They're referring to I believe they're referring to my friend Bill Swan will always say, like, Nadia, did you meet Bill? I speak like I did, but yeah, I'm just a big book fundy. But I believe what they were saying is any life, and they're talking about my thought life, my work life, my family life, my love life. If I'm running that stuff on self-will, it's going to end up at the gates of insanity or death. And if I don't accept spiritual help, I'm going to continue to the bitter ends. Those are my two options. I only have two options. If you're a real alcoholic like me, with an alcoholic mind, restless, irritable, discontent, if I don't have something to give me ease and comfort, I'm going to pursue that thing that I'm obsessing about to the gates of insanity or death. And I really get to give all these relationships over to God. And I get to trust God. And I get to clean house, inventory, step fives, working with others. And working with others. I get to keep what was given to me. I keep it by giving it away. And I know it sounds pretty weird, but there is some incredible, powerful, powerful, powerful magic that happens when you're helping others. So if you're in this program and you've done the inventory and you've done a step 5 and you've done the amends, but you've not yet sponsored, again, I'm begging you, get into that deal. There's nothing. There's no dope. There's no vodka. There's no high-end champagne. There's no good-looking man or woman that'll come close. That feeling that'll come close. Not even an iota of how amazing the feeling is when you're helping another person through this program. So I can just feel the gratitude is starting to like pour out of me, and then I start losing my words and I start jumbling up and messing up. And I am just grateful, and I'm glad for those that have jumped on this call with us, and Karen for keeping these doors open and this platform, and Justin for the work you do out there. I love all of you. And as I said again, I beg you, if you've not done this work, none of this, like this working with others, sponsoring, step 5, inventory, what are you talking about? If you don't know, reach out. I'll be glad to connect with you or connect you with someone that I know that's doing this work. Please, we'll put our details in the chat. Thank you.
Wow. Come around more often. You're amazing. Thank you so much, Nadia. So packed it in really, really tight. And there's just so much we can elaborate on. So first, everyone take Nadia's number, reach out to her. She answers. She's available. She really works this work. I'm gonna say, Nadia's a real ninja around here. She's a real role model for women as a woman, a spiritual woman who's practicing these principles in all her affairs. Why don't you guys throw your questions at her, your challenges, your frustrations? I mean, we could have her, wax poetic about the minute she realized she needed this program or how she works with others. But I'd like to kind of take it in a different direction. Who we got here? Gloria, Dina, Joe, Misha. Maybe throw your issues with recovery at her. Throw your frustrations. Where have you gotten stuck? Where do you need help in your program? Maybe I'll open up, Nadia. Could you talk about relapse? Could you talk about, we opened up, we spoke about half measures. I relate to that, working a great program, leading a podcast, and then, screaming at my 18-year-old or something, which for me is relapse. I don't need to put anything in my mouth or my veins or, or stay up all night. That to me is an official relapse. Can you talk about relapse? Can you talk about half measures? Can you talk about the antidotes to that?
Thank you. So I'm just going to straight off the bat say I am a sponsor monster and I speak 12-step. That's the deal. That's the deal here. We come into this program. We speak a language that not many people do in the world. We speak the language of the cave. We've been in depression, anxiety, in the grips of addiction. Like Karen said, our behaviors vary. So we speak a language that not many people do. So go take that language and go help someone else who's desperately quiet and dying, who's heard other languages but doesn't only understands this one. And it says in the big book, Alcoholics Anonymous,
That's really helpful. I'm sorry to interrupt you. That's really helpful because if you're feeling extremely, screwed up or weird or retarded or whatever, or not normal, as many of us feel, which is either extremely low self-esteem or extreme arrogance or just two sides of the same exact coin. It's actually helpful for me to hear that because I could sometimes feel like a weirdo in the office or, in social circles, or I really related to what you said about if I had an argument with someone. A friend yelled at me last week. It took me a week to recover. Now, perhaps she was wrong. Perhaps she's spiritually sick, right? But I was like, just reach out and say Happy Hanukkah. Like, it doesn't cost you money. Like, you may not want to be best friends with someone who yells at you, right? I may be careful. I'm armed with the facts. But anyway, it's helpful to hear that other people speak this language.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt. Go on.
It's okay, honey. I think also the thing that I've learned in this program, and it's through the amends process, is the way that my behavior has had other people feel. I've made me feel like that. I have felt like that. So I'll give an example. For instance, I have serious beef with a colleague, like you just said, who yells at me for everything. I'm damned if I do, and I'm damned if I don't. And then the other day I'm praying, right? I'm praying because it's all I do. It's all I do. I cannot go in my mind. My mind is cuckoo, cuckoo, cuckoo. So I just speak to God the whole time. I'm just praying. I'm just like, help me. And then I'm rambling with the 7-step, like whatever. I'm still like very new in. So whatever prayer I can remember, I'm just praying, conscious contact, conscious contact, conscious contact. And the whole time while he was going off at me, I'm like praying. I'm like, show me, he's a sick person. How can I be helpful? And all of a sudden I just heard, you do the same. And I looked at him and I was like, oh my God, I do the same. And I know why, because I'm so deeply insecure and I want everyone to think I'm very clever and I've swallowed a thesaurus and look how well she speaks and look how, like I told you, I'll argue on a topic I've never read about. And he does the same. And bam, all of a sudden, he is me, I am him. And my heart just went, whew, and I just got quiet and small and I let him be a big show. I let him be the big guy. And when he told me that I'd done something wrong, I said to him, thank you for teaching me. But you know what? I asked God to help me because I can't do that stuff on my own. I cannot. Remember the actor on page 62? We will exert ourselves even more. So I'll keep on pretending to be nice and humble to him. I had to ask God to do that. I ask God. God does for me what I can't do for myself. And it's with those colleagues especially. I see something in the chat. Let's go have a squiz. You mentioned, this is from Gloria, you mentioned doing a serious program and that you have to, and any other way did not work. So you have now completely surrendered to doing it God's way. What does that look like? Whoa, it looks radically different to anything I've ever done in my life. I wake up early. I used to wake up at like 20 minutes before the kids woke up. I wake up an hour before the kids wake up. I set that alarm. I do not snooze. I ask God to help me be disciplined. I wake up early. I spend time with God. I follow the instructions of the big book, 86 to 88. It says, upon awakening, We ask God to direct our thinking. As I wake up and I feel my bladder filling up because I've got to go to the toilet because it's morning time, I'm getting ready, I ask God, I say, please direct my thinking, just like the big book instructs me to. And I get quiet, I meditate, I read something beautiful, I read the big book, I'm quick to see where religious people are right. There are other beautiful literatures out there, pieces of literature out there, scripture, the Torah. And then I get quiet and I pray and I meditate. And then I bounce out of there into the day because I've tapped into a power greater than me. I've tapped into God. I mean, it's like endless, that stuff. It's limitless. And then step 10, practice throughout the day. I'm not great at it. I don't watch all the time. I don't ask God to remove. I don't often discuss with other people, the resentment, but I try. I really do try to do all of them. Maybe just one a day. And then at night, the inventory process. And I help others. And I do this on a daily. I do not get it right. I do not get it perfect. I don't even know what perfect looks like anymore because my whole world's upside down since I've come into this program. But Gloria, I follow those recipe instructions in the big book. Like my life depends on it because it does. It does.
So Nadia, when you said that, like until just recently, like was it like you were half measuring it? Is that what it's the other way that you had done it? Was it half measuring?
So the other way that I was doing it is I was hiding in my room. And I think that's half measuring because God wants us to be happy, joyous, and free. And that wasn't free. I was in my room hiding from people for 4 years. I was kidding myself, and that's why until recently, now I'm out, I'm engaging with people, engaging with my family. I'm saying yes to events. I'm saying yes to barbecues. I'm saying yes to those things. I'm saying yes to them. When in the past I was like, no, I'm sponsoring. No, I'm talking. No, I'm leading a big book. So yeah, it was half measures. It avails us. And you know what, Gloria? It says in the big book that half measures avail us nothing. Now, apparently, a financial term, nothing is like it's not even you don't even get to open the ledger. Like it's not nil. There's no value to it. There's nothing. So yeah.
Wow, thank you. Probably a message I need to hear too, because I love to hide away in my house as well. And I just get this idea that, yeah, you need to be in the world. You need to be with people, scary as it may be. Thank
God
you.
will do it for you. And honey, us guys in recovery, there's this, we're tapped into a power that not many people are. And our job is to wake our brothers and sisters up on planet Earth. Our job is to show them there's God, to show them that there's love, to show them that faith works, to show them that there's a different way. We survived addiction. I mean, come on, not many people do. A lot of us end up with toe tags on steel gurneys. More of us that actually end up alive, living, and we've got such a gift. Let's go out there and go help our brothers, our sleeping brothers and sisters, our dying brothers and sisters, in quiet desperation. Even if it's just one soul, just one.
I love what you said, Nadia. Like, you got the call and you picked up the phone, right? I got the call and I picked up the phone. And by the way, I just want to say that if you're an isolator, or even if it's just a period where you're isolating, for anyone out there who's just had a divorce or a bad breakup, or, like I tend to be pretty social, but I can isolate as an addict. Half measures could look like, I'm a compulsive overeater. I commit my food to my sponsor, but sometimes I don't commit quantities. Sometimes I eat first and then commit. So that's kind of really clear. Did I send her my breakfast, lunch, and dinner, or did I not? No, it does avail me of nothing when I mess around with it like I have been lately. And surprise, surprise, I overate last week. We were around, if Nadia was my OA sponsor, she would have seen that coming on the horizon. That my dishonesty, my isolating would have led to relapse. But see, today I have a program. Instead of feeling gross and fat and miserable and down on myself the next day, guess what I did? I committed my food. I weighed and measure it. Went and buy spinach so I could make, I'm all like, oh, spinach is in the supermarket. Nice spinach. I could do a spinach quiche, and that's my protein and veg, and it's low fat. It's like it's that easy. So, I mean, food is just an easy example. Obviously, Al-Anonism, codependency is much more insidious and trickier. But yeah, the other thing I'm going to add to what Nadia said is that, someone yelled at me last week and I had a resentment, and they, they were wrong. They were spiritually sick. How's that line on the big book? Perhaps those we were resentful of had wronged us. I'm messing it up. Like people do mean things. There are, most people are good. Thank God I'm an optimist. Most people are good, but there are people in the corporate world, in the business world, who are riding for the top, running for president, getting everyone out of their way. So we're armed with the facts. We move to the side. Today we have a choice. Another thing I'm going to say to you, Gloria, if you're, was it Gloria who said she's in isolating?
Yep.
Sweetie, okay, start with people who are safe. And just because they're in the recovery, by the way, doesn't mean they're safe. Remember, we're all a bunch of crazy addicts. Start with the nice people. I used to, as part of my codependency, work for jerks and I'm an Ivy Leaguer, I work for overachievers, rise to the top. And it took me like a decade in recovery to realize that I did that to myself. I put myself in a position to be hurt. Today, I'll take making less money and work for good people, work for nice people. I don't, homie, don't play that. If you're arrogant, you're a jerk. So, I have a boss, maybe she's not razzle dazzle impressive, or maybe she's not, glamorous, but you know what? She's nice. She goes up to bat for me. Do everything. She's human. She's flawed, but we're close and we communicate. And she could lend me money. I could lend her money. It's just a good, healthy relationship. No one's perfect. I listen more than I talk. Price had to be paid. I have a relationship with my boss. The price has to be paid. I might be listening and talking. If I have a relationship with my team, the price has to be paid. We go shopping. We go out to lunch. Around that up or whatever magical thing I'm expecting for. But half measures fail is nothing. If I sit around and wait for people to show up or wait, But anyway, on relationship, armed with who's a good guy, a bad guy, who's nice, who's a bruiser, hang out with the nice guys, go gentle. Kilai's not spinning.
See, Joe's got a, how do you improve your conscious contact with God when you don't feel God is there? So my question is, who stepped back? I don't know. I don't think in my experience, I know when I don't feel God, there's something blocking me. There's an amends I haven't made, or there's something that I'm not doing that I need to be obedient to. And I know us alkies and addicts hate those words, obedient and discipline. But we are not like, the idea that we are like other people has to be smashed. Those are, unfortunately, that is the way of this life. It is an obedient, disciplined life. And just very quickly, because I want to go to Misha's comment as well, I'm being mindful of the time, is I set a reminder 3 times a day. It's an alarm that goes off on my phone with really pretty music so it doesn't annoy me too much. And I stop what I'm doing and I go away, and I go and I breathe and I feel where my feet are, whatever it takes. And I just feel like the Spirit of God, the wind, the air that moves around us, even if it's a fan or just something that moves that I can't see, because that's God. I can't see God. That's what I love about us. We've got to believe in something that we can't see, and we have to put our lives in these hands, right? So I love you guys so much, because it's just such soldiers to put their whole lives in a power they can't see. Anyway, so get near something that's moving, a tree, and just remind yourself that that is God. And then I just breathe and I just say the serenity prayer, whatever comes up 3 times a day. That's my conscious contact. And it really just resets my little fear clock, because man, I run on fear as a default. So I hope that helped you, Joe. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, I'm gonna jump in on that. Joe, our big book says, when agitated, we pause. For me, just an example from last week, I guess one example is easier than generalizing. Not feeling God came in the version of why are my kids having issues? Why is my son acting this way? Where are you? Where are you? Haven't I been through enough? My childhood, being widowed, divorced, blah, 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 blah. We all could show off our trauma and drama resumes. And see, afterwards I exploded, aka relapse in rageaholism or whatever you want to call it. And see, when I look back, so I did a step 10, so that's the first way to get to God. I review that. Where was I at fault? Where was I to blame? I'm at fault and I'm to blame. This is not therapy. It's not your mommy. It's not your daddy. It's you. I didn't pause. See, it's that easy, sweetie. I was feeling sorry for myself. I had a cold flu. My daughter washed most of the dishes, and I stood at the sink and I washed the rest. Martyr that I was, feeling miserable. And then you're going to laugh. Dina knows the story. And then my 18-year-old son walked into the room and farted. And I lost it. I was like, am I so worthless? Am I so not deserving of respect that people could just fart in front of my face? Is that it? Is that my whole life? That's what I'm worth? Past gas from a... I kid you not. I'm a woman with an Ivy League degree, a prestigious job, respected in my community, and I lost my... Because that's what I'm worth, a fart. See, that's where I went. All because I didn't just take Acamol, Dexamol, paracetamol, whatever you have in whatever country you're in, and put my tuchus in bed, put on a meditation. Or maybe if I had that angelic alarm clock like my sister Nadia has, it would have, sent me on with angels and halos into my bedroom. When agitated, we pause. See, I was not, if I'm feeling agitated means if I'm resentful, if I'm off, if I'm weird, this morning. I have to say, like Nadia, I also wake up early. And most of us old timers who are getting deeper in this program do that because sunrise is magical spiritually, especially in my religious tradition. But I change it up. When I first got back to these rooms after a bad breakup, and I was also badly broken up, I just put on the step 11 meditation all the time. Kimia's step 11 meditation. It's in the recovery resources. If you want it, I'll put my number in the chat. I'll try and get it for you. You could probably just even look it up on YouTube. There's a billion stuff on there. And then I had a phase where I was like into Insight Timer. Literally, when I was agitated, like I know I have to go to one of my kids. I know they didn't do their homework and they're going to be grumpy and they're complaining about how evil their teacher is and all that. I literally get in my car, put my jacket on me or whatever I have around, and listen to a 10-minute meditation. A lot of times I'll just pass out and fall asleep and I'll realize that's all that was necessary to feel his presence was like a tiny bit of rest. Sorry, connection sounds much more spiritual, but sometimes I actually need 10 minutes of passing out, the drool going down, just to pass out, just to recharge, reset. And it saves me. And every time I've said like, oh, I'm going to go home. I have to put up dinner. I have to do this. We have to do homework. The show doesn't come off so well. Like our big book says, when I'm trying to be the director, the actor, the set up the ballet. So step 11, then I got into Insight Timer. Now I'm really into these different Kabbalistic meditations. Feeling, energy, meditating. It's a lifesaver. I usually start my morning with my morning prayers. And this morning I was feeling, again, I have a cold. I just had a cold last week. And I'm not one of those sickly people. It's like, ugh. And so I actually did this Kabbalistic meditation and it helps you move your energy and kind of clears headaches and stuff like that. And I was ready to wake my kids up. But again, like Nadia said, a price has to be paid. I can't just like roll out of bed at 7:25 and wake them up at 7:30, 6:00, my computer was on, YouTube was up, did some energy work, and I was like, oh, feel a little better, a little less congested. Let's go. We can change it up, keep it fresh. Just like a workout, you might be sick of step. You do Pilates, you might be sick of Pilates, you go for yoga. You want to keep your relationship with God exciting, just like a romantic relationship, which, I'm hoping I'll share that down the line too, Nadia, that I forayed back into that like you. I didn't realize you had a relationship, and I'm really happy for you.
Thanks.
gotta change it up and keep it exciting, you know? I used to work out in this place, it got dry, it got stale. Now I work out with all the 21-year-olds. I feel like, you know, it's great. You know, I've been working out since they were born. You gotta change it up, you know. Hey God, like, let's go on a date night. Let's do something different, you know. I used to be really into like learning classic self-help works in the Jewish tradition that's called Musar. Now I'm really into Hasidic stuff and Kabbalah, which you know, is much different. You gotta keep it alive. Gotta keep it alive. You know, just like a relationship, which you know, I'll put it out there. You know, intention that you know, one day I hope to have with the help of God and with God guiding me. Anyway, I didn't mean to get us so off track. Back to you, Nadia.
Misha, I love that, Karen. I love the gentle things that you mentioned today as well. Like you've reminded me, it's not an overnight matter. You know, we don't claim spiritual perfection. We claim spiritual progress. That's it. Just switch it up and just, if you fall, we get up. That's what we do. That's what we do, because we don't get to fall and stay down there. We don't, and it's a we program as well. We help each other. Misha says, what's the difference between waking people up and meddling in others' affairs? Talking about spiritually unfit family members, so untreated Al-Anons, untreated coders, untreated overeaters, etc., untreated. As a hardcore codependent and someone who is finally experiencing the promises and recovery, whoop, whoop, and want to share the message, I find this balance confusing. Let's go. I'm not going to give you any. Let's go to page 76. This is my reading, Karen. Check. You see how God works.
Yeah, by the way, just another God chat. You just said that you loved it. That I mentioned these gentle things. I sent my step 10 to Nikki the other day, and she's like, who would God have you be? And I wrote patient and kind. And she actually put in there gentle. So that was a real God shot for me that you just said that. Because I've really been meditating on gentleness. So that's just next level crazy. So, but
just
77, page 77.
Sorry,
so
page
cool?
83, page 83, page 83, page 83.
How cool is that, though? How cool is that?
Yeah. You see, this is God. This is exactly, and for anybody who's new here with us or listening to this podcast, bring willingness to the table, bring open-mindedness to the table, be open-minded to look for little miracles, be willing to look for little miracles. Remember when we were tripping out on acid and ecstasy, and I don't know what else we've taken in our lives, we were always looking for the symbolism and the mysticism and the metaphysical. Look for that stuff in the now, because there's an abundance of it. And just what happened here now, 2 instances within. There's Misha's question, and I prepared this reading before the meeting, and it's page 83. And it talks about our behavior will convince them, not our words. And that it says that, yes, our family members are going to be skeptics because 10 or 20 years of hardcore codependency will mess people up. It makes them neurotic. But there are some wrongs we can't right. But it says that we should be sensible, tactful, considerate, and humble without being servile or scraping. As God's people, we stand on our feet. We don't crawl before anybody. So we don't go and tell everyone. It's our behavior, because our words, they're done with our words. They're done with us telling them how to live their lives, how not to live their lives, what to eat, when to come home, why. Stop. Stay in your lane. Your behavior, just your behavior, that river of peace and humility and all those spiritual principles that we get taught here, that's the stuff that's going to go flow out into your family. And it takes time. It takes time, Misha. It's not an overnight matter. It's going to take time. You just keep praying for them. Sick man's prayer. Karen and I love that prayer. We killed that one a couple of months ago. Sick man's prayer. Perhaps, like Karen said earlier, perhaps we're prepared to look at things from an entirely different angle. Could they also be spiritually sick? They don't have a program. They don't have these beautiful podcasts telling them how to live. They don't have sponsors, God squads. They don't have that stuff. They're trapped in their pain, captivated, heartbroken, locked down. They have no idea that they don't even know they're in pain. So you just show up in love and in prayer. And then
I'm just going to add in a child. This is tricky because I'm also a codependent and an Al-Anon. You know, the fine line between being controlling, you know, bossy and helpful is, you know, we get armed with the facts arm them with the fact, you know, I have 2 kids who are compulsive overeaters, and they complain about how fat they are, and then they stuff their face. And I keep saying, well, you know, and I help them, you know, let's get you a gym membership. Well, let's get you into a Weight Watchers group so you can learn the right portions, you know. I have a daughter who's got a lot of emotional outbursts, and I bought a book about people who feel too much. It's like, how, you know, and that's really all a function of in our program. Our job is to ask ourselves, how can I be helpful? And maybe that defining moment between, am I being a controlling maniac, or am I really like, is it about them or is it about me? Is it about me making you thin because you look like a fatso, or is it about me helping you be healthy and effective and attractive? If I give you a book, give you a gym membership, give you some information, but not like, you really got to exercise, no, which I do plenty of that too. You want to constantly be asking yourself, is this helpful? Me looking in my kid's plate, which I do all the time, is not helpful. Me going to exercise, you know, Harlan Z from A Vision for You says, yeah, I got to jump off too. Thank you. He says there's 3 things you could do for the addicts that you're related to: recover, recover, recover.
You want to connect with Karen, trust me. You want to get chatting to her, and yeah, this has been so wonderful. What an awesome interlude in my day. I've got to go. I've got to get back downstairs. I love all of you, and God bless, and just keep trudging. Keep trudging. Just keep trudging one day at a time.
Great. You going to pray us out, sister?
Yeah, I'm going to do the 7-step prayer. My Creator, I am now willing that you shall have all of me, good and bad. Please now remove every single defect of character that stands in the way of my usefulness to you and my brothers and sisters. God, grant me strength as I go out from here. Grant us strength as we go out from here to do thy bidding. Thy will always. Amen. Amen. Thank you.
Amen. Thank you, Yuriko. Thank you all. You're beautiful. Spread your light, spread your recovery. If you want to share on Reco12, hit me up.
Standing still a moment, carving out this time, reflecting on the landscape of this life of mine. Peaks too high to conquer, streams too wide to cross, troughs too deep to walk through without incurring loss. Yet here I am, still standing tall, despite the rough terrain. One like me survived the storms and walked through wind and rain. Still standing, I will fight the good fight, still searching for glimmers of